Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, just a quick end of August update really. A couple of things to talk about. I've got an interesting book to show you, and we need to talk about hurricanes. No, I don't mean Hurricane Erin, which is rapidly approaching the northwest of the UK and is going to finally give us some rain. We need, actually, I don't think we'd be complaining about this hurricane that much really, as long as it's not too strong, but it's not going to be hitting the UK directly. As I speak to you, I'm speaking to you on Bank Holiday Monday, but it's due tomorrow and the rest of the week it's going to be pouring down with rain. And we need it. We desperately need some rain, honestly. Most of Britain is really struggling and really dry now. And the reservoirs are pretty empty, so we're desperate for some good old-fashioned rain. And it's supposed to rain for the best part of a week, so I don't think that, when you see the state of people's grass, we water ours, I've got to be honest, to keep it fairly nice, but it's costing an absolute fortune for a water meter, so we do have to pay quite a stiff price for it. And people say, oh, I don't water mine. The trouble is, some of those people that say that to me have got lawns that are probably not going to recover. Going off on a tangent here and now, but people talk about lawns and dry weather and stuff. Oh, it always recovers, people say. It doesn't actually. Most of it will, perhaps 3/4 will, but what will actually happen is that the hardier weeds will take over your lawn, and they tend to fill in the gaps of the other sort of quarter. And every time you let it get really dry and just leave it to go brown, you lose a lot of the good grass, unfortunately, and the weeds take over. I've got people I know that have got that situation now, but anyway. There we go. So the hurricane we want to talk about is the Hawker Hurricane. I've got one here, and this is, don't get too excited, it's quite a decent looking one, but it's not all it could be. There are some flaws, and I don't think I did the best, most brilliant build ever, but I didn't enjoy this that much. It turned into a bit of a pig. It's the Italeri stroke Tamiya, for which you read Italeri. So it's an Italeri kit. There was lots of issues with it. These stupid gun bays that they put in as a separate section, which if you look closely, I didn't make a great job of, or excellent job of fixing it. Really silly to have that section in the wing. Goodness knows why they did that. All the manufacturers haven't done it that way. Very poor fitting windscreen at the front. Again, the wrong shape, quite frankly. It's actually the wrong shape. Doesn't match the contours at all of the actual cowling that it goes onto. Crazy. But anyway, looks alright from a distance. From the old 2-foot rule, it looks quite nice. It's not terrible, but it's not what it should have been. It certainly didn't deserve to have the Tamiya logo on the box, because it is nothing remotely like, nothing like a Tamiya kit, I've got to say. But anyway, I did a reasonable job of it, but nothing special, to be quite honest. Anyway, there's that. I also want to talk about Spitfires, but only for a moment. I have here a Spitfire. This is actually the Airfix one, the little 72nd scale, which is actually a nice kit, to be honest. It's one of their nicer ones. It's 72nd. It dates back to about 2010, I think. Nice kit. Really quite accurate in terms of shape, I think. Very sporty looking Spitfire if ever there was one. And I'm mentioning the Spitfire because I'm getting a bit confused with the Hurricane. I'm mentioning the Spitfire because I will be flying in one of these in a few weeks' time. I won't say the date, simply because these things get cancelled due to weather so easily, you won't believe it. But hopefully mid-late September I should be flying in a Spitfire. A Mark 9 2-seater that's been modified, and I'll be recording it for my Peter Goes Rogue channel. Now I want to talk about Peter Goes Rogue. It's doing very well. We've generated almost 600 subscribers in just a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. But I need more. I need 1,000. I've got to get to 1,000, otherwise I won't be able to publish that Spitfire video. And believe me, it is worth seeing. It is going to be quite amazing. I'm currently getting a bit fitter, trying to lose a bit of weight, doing lots of exercises as of the weekend, but been out cycling and doing all sorts of things just to get myself a bit leaner and trimmer and ready to jump out with a parachute just in case. Who knows what'll happen, you know. You have to sign a disclaimer, by the way, saying you do realise this is not covered by the normal civil aviation rules and safety measures. It's a prototype aircraft, you know. It's risky, but hey, you know, I think it's worth it. I think that I missed out on flying on Concorde, which I've always regretted. And I think this is the two aircraft I wanted to fly on was a Spitfire or Concorde. So I think it's got to be done. It's got to be done. And I think to share that with the viewers on YouTube would be amazing. So please, all of you that watch my channel here, this is why I'm giving this appeal on this channel, because this is where all the viewers seem to be. And I haven't got enough subscribers on the other channel really to do it there. So please, can you, those of you that watch my channel and enjoy it here, you're going to enjoy, I think most of you are going to enjoy this Spitfire ride, because it's going to be filmed in HD. There's going to be lots of in-cockpit footage. There'll be some footage from the ground we're going to try and shoot. We've even got some new gadgets. Look at this thing. Now, I'm not really a gadget man, to be honest. I'm not an early adopter of technology, but look at this toy that I've got. What is this thing? Let me just switch it on if it'll work. See if I can... Oh, you see that? Way! This is a DJI Pocket 3, and it's basically... It's actually a sort of blogger's gadget, if you will. Let me move that hurricane out in a second. Come back to hurricanes in a second. And it's basically intended for, you know, going around shows, car shows, model shows, that kind of thing. And you can do yourself a nice vlog. It's got tracking, and I'm not even going to pretend that I've got the hang of this yet. I am a rank beginner with this sort of toy. It does all sorts of things. It comes with a fancy microphone. It's got to help reduce wind noise. It's got the dead cat on it. Very furry little thing. Very cute, to be honest. Look at that. Zoom in on this. It's quite funny, isn't it? Look at that. Isn't that cute? It rotates as well, the microphone. So that's the microphone. You can clip it on your lapel, whatever. So going all very professional here. Now this doesn't mean I'm going to be doing vlogs and blogs and all that kind of thing that you see other people do, but this thing it's very, very clever. So it's got, you can see it's got self-tracking, which I haven't quite worked out yet, but it's got a self-tracking function. It's got, look at the camera if you look carefully. So it's got this joystick control. And it goes up and down, does all sorts of fancy tricks, and it delivers a 4K full HD image, and you can track items, you can track yourself, or you could track I don't think it'd be good enough for an aircraft, but certainly things like a car driving past at a reasonable speed you can track. It's got its own little tripod, it's got all sorts of gadgets built into it, an extra power battery, longer life battery. This is going to be very helpful with this Spitfire ride, which I'm having. But if Mrs. O, blimey, it's the Mrs. If Mrs. O's watching, she'll say, well, look at this, says not his, that's mine! Yes, it's actually not mine, it's hers. Oops, I've sort of purloined it for the time being. I need to understand fully how it works, though. But it is it does all sorts of weird stuff. It's a very clever piece of kit. My only concern is it is this one of these Chinese products. I hope he's not spying on me. But it does lots of clever stuff. And there we go. Power off. Power off. There we go. Put that over there. Anyway, that's going to help us with our Spitfire ride. But I need to get my 1,000 subscribers. So if you're a subscriber here, will you please go? I'll put the link below. Peter Goes Rogue. Please subscribe to Peter Goes Rogue, because I can't really afford, frankly, to put such an important video on. So, did you see that? That was the top of my mosquito box just popping off. Right on cue, on camera. Thank you very much for that. I'll do it again in a second. Literally 5 to 10 seconds it'll go again. You watch. There it goes. I told you. But no, we need to make it meaningful and to make it pay, quite frankly. We've got to get that on the new channel, I think. It'll be far more meaningful in the medium to longer term anyway, to have it there. So if you subscribe here, please subscribe there and join us on Peter Goes Rogue. And you will, trust me, there's going to be all sorts of things I've got planned. This channel will expand in it'll be quite a different channel. Don't judge it by what's on there now, because that is just the startup to try and get the subscribers that are familiar with my stuff to come and join us, really. But it's going to expand into other things that it's not currently doing. So there's going to be looking at some interesting cars. I mentioned obviously it's got a Spitfire flight. There'll be other aviation videos and stuff like that as well. So quite a lot of interest. If you find that some of the stuff that's on there now interesting, this is only going to expand and get wider, broader themes and new themes, bit of cooking, you know, might be doing interviews with people and things like that. So please join us on Peter Goes Rogue. It's very important that you do. You get to see me flying in the Mark 9 Spitfire. Not this one, this is a Mark 1 from the Battle of Britain, but you want to see the Spitfire flight over the Lake District. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, to be honest. A very kind gift from my wife, so I must be careful what I say about it. Mustn't break her camera. Right, so hurricanes. I'm going to talk about hurricanes now. So don't forget, I'll remind you again at the end. There's something else I need to remind you about, another show where I'm going to be a guest, but we'll talk about that later. So, many of you will have noticed, I'm just going to sip some tea, if you excuse me 1 second. Many of you will have noticed in the early summer that Qatar announced that they're going to be doing a Mark 1 Hurricane, Battle of Britain Hurricane, and they're going to be doing the version with the fabric wings. I think they'll do both versions, fabric and non-fabric. Now, I'm not the greatest expert on hurricanes. Not quite as familiar with them as Spitz, if I'm honest, but know a fair bit about them. But a relative of mine has very kindly loaned me this fantastic Wingleader book, which you haven't seen before. And the timing of this, of course, is perfect because we've got, I think we'll get this Qatari kit coming out New Year, I think, next year. Maybe New Year to Easter time, possibly early summer, but Q1, Q2, I think. Here we've got Hawker Hurricane Mk.1 in RAF service in Europe, 1935 to the Battle of Britain. So this is right there with what we're interested in. So I'm going to now move aside, if you'll excuse me a second, and move my slightly questionable Hurricane. It looks all right, I've got to be honest. People go, oh, Hurricane, that's nice. It's like, yeah, it just didn't hit the spot for me, I'm afraid. But that's Italeri, isn't it? Anyway, less said about them, the better. Somebody said, oh, you're not done Italeri. Let's talk about Italeri. No. I mean, even Ravel, I had one or two good things to say about them. You know, Italeri are not that bad, but they just never meet the expectation. A bit like Fiat or Ferrari. Oops. Anyway, moving quickly on before I get into trouble with our Italian friends. So here's the book. So the Hurricane Mk.1, you've got some absolutely epic looking ALK. That's the aircraft, of course. That's the 24 scale Spitfire, the original iteration from the 70s. And then we've got the early prototype K5083. Look at that. And that flew in 1935. Look at that. Gosh. Yeah, I mean, it literally straddles this aircraft. It straddles the sort of Hawker Fury to Spitfire gap. It sort of sits in the middle technology-wise, doesn't it, really? Part aluminium, part fabric. And it had a retractable tail wheel. That's interesting. I didn't realise that. That was on the prototype. Ooh. But then they added the ventral fillet to reduce the drag and then decided to leave it fixed. Okay. The two-bladed propeller was cumbersome and the equivalent of driving a car around in third gear, lacking the subtlety at low speeds for takeoff and landing. Oh, I see. Yeah. Later views of it, test flying, heavily framed cockpit visible. You see the early cockpit has got less framing. It's interesting, isn't it? See that? Come a bit closer. Yeah, so it's got like 2 frames less on the side. Here is the sort of later style that we're more familiar with. And then we've got lots and lots of beautiful photographs. So again, I probably won't show you every single page, but we'll have a little look through. You can see here they're now putting the October 37s, already storm clouds in Europe. So they're already getting the camo ready and getting the aircraft ready to become developing it into a proper evolution of the prototype. So you got the Watts evolution. This is a good diagram. This the Watts two-bladed propeller, single piece nose cowling ring, kidney-shaped exhausts, unarmoured windscreen, early ring and bead gun sight, basic pole aerial, no ventral extension fillet underneath, and the retractable tail wheel. And then later over here you can see a much more familiar looking one from this would be about 1938, later even 1940. And here you've got the three-bladed, the Rotol constant speed propeller, two-piece cowling ring with bulges on the nose, ejector type exhausts, reflector gun sight, internally armoured windscreen, and the streamlined aerial mast. You've got the ventral extension fillet and the larger rudder to improve the low speed handling. Larger rudder. Larger how? It's larger in depth, I think. So it looks about the same in length. And then the fixed tail wheel obviously comes in. Now it's got the metal wings, whereas earlier of course it had the fabric covered wings. 6 holes in the undercarriage door, which it didn't have before. I think that's for drainage. And the single pronged pitot tube. Before it had a double pronged one. Interesting stuff. These Wingleader books, I've got to say, are absolutely fantastic. And I guess it's just the detail that goes into it. Here we go, we've got different types of spinners. Look at all the different types. One is the Watts two-bladed propeller, used right up to the Battle of France. 2, the three-bladed de Havilland propeller, designed for the Spitfire. You can see in this photo how the spinner is slightly larger than the nose cowling. You can see that, can't you? And then 3, this is the de Havilland three-bladed prop design. Note how it fits the cowling exactly, and is more pointed than the Spitfire version. It certainly is. 4, classic blunt Rotol three-bladed prop design. Designed for the Spitfire Mark II again, noticeably bigger than the front cowling, big overlap. This appeared on the majority of the Battle of Britain Hurricanes. Gosh. 5, this is the specifically designed Rotol spinner for the Hurricane. This is what the type you saw most of later, I think, on the Mark 1s and the Mark 2s, if I remember. The bullet spinner had some minor variations. This has become the standard spinner for future Marks. There you go. 6, Hurricane spinner is well known for throwing oil all over the windscreen, so eventually an oil connecting ring was installed. Collecting ring, beg your pardon. This is a rare example of a ring behind the de Havilland spinner on a 303 Squadron Series N aircraft. Number 7 is on a 615 Squadron Hurricane in November of 1940. Oh yeah. Incredible, the variations there. And then we've got all sorts of pictures of them in construction, showing the basic framework design, of course. How it's basically, you know, the rear fuselage is just like a biplane from pre-war design. It doesn't have that same sort of metal approach for the aluminium skinned Spitfire, where it has a series of bulkheads. Fabric wings, here we go, fabric wings. One of the most distinctive features of the early Hurricane was its doped linen covered wings. This of course is a throwback to Hawker's long line of biplane fighters, but it was also simpler to manufacture and could absorb a fair amount of damage. The main problem with these wings was speed. At high speed the sections would balloon, in some cases even tear away, because of the pressure of the air pressure and the speed. Interesting. He goes on to say the weakness was soon recognised and fully metal wings were installed on the production line after about 500 fabric wing examples had been produced. Having said that, the fabric wing examples were included in some later production batches, so even as late as the V series, a few rag wings did take part in the Battle of Britain. Gosh. The aircraft above from 85 Squadron had been retrofitted with an externally armoured windscreen, an ejector exhaust, but has the original prop, whereas the aircraft on the left also has the external armoured windscreen along with the new Rotol prop. So it's a real mix and match, isn't it? And then you can see the way that they are different, and it looks like they've positioned easy recognition features. Sorry, let me zoom in a bit more. Easy recognition features of the fabric wing Hurricanes are the position of the landing lights, because they moved them out on the metal ones. Also the shape of the gun access panels. On the fabric wing versions, these panels were square and rectangular, whereas the metal wing versions had angled edges to each panel. Okay. On the metal wing version, the outer edge of the landing light lines up with the inner edge of the aileron. Oh, right. Yeah, they definitely moved it out, didn't they? And then you can see here, showing that a graphic that really shows you that difference there, look. Yeah, cool. A lot of things that, you know, are quite hard to come by this sort of data anywhere else, isn't it? And then, let's just zoom back up slightly. And then it goes into service with the sort of agreed spec, or mostly. And then again, you've got some of these two-bladed ones going into service here at Northolt. Yeah, you've got the early two-blader here as well. Modeller's notes, this is what I like about these books. Modeller's notes, got the early pole, aerial, all the details are here. It tells you about the exhausts, the type of venturi tube, no ventral extension and retracting on the rear tail wheel. Looks quite cool with the retracting wheel, doesn't it? They obviously didn't feel it gave them a huge advantage once they put the ventral sort of strake underneath, fairing. Sir John Gillan introduces King George VI to the new high-speed fighter. Wow. Okay. The light-coloured object on the front of the cockpit is the reserve fuel tank, which could hold 28 gallons. This is an early L-series aircraft. Yeah, the only problem with that, you know, from a design perspective, it's very high in the aircraft, that tank, isn't it? But then they tended to be up there, didn't they, I suppose? It's a shame they couldn't have got that lower down, really. I think it would help its manoeuvrability. Also says it's an early L-series aircraft with the early curved windscreen. Oh yeah, it is curved, very curved. Yeah, almost looks like a sort of Reno racer, that does. Fabric covered wings, which you can just about make out. And it has the kidney exhaust and the two-bladed Watts propeller. Also, the original 5-spoked wheel, which you can see there. The long silver pipe running from just in front of the fuel tank is taking coolant, which is here. There. Taking coolant from the small coolant tank arrowed here to the radiator underneath the cockpit. Gosh. And 3 Squadron at Kenley. There's Hawker Hearts taking off. Is it Hawker Hearts in the background? I'm not quite sure on those. Is it Bulldogs? It might be Bulldogs actually. Taking off in the background. This is at Digby. Now Digby had the Hawker Fury, didn't they? I just can't tell what they are. It's not that clear. Some good photographs, what to be said. And then it goes through. The factory error, here we go. This is interesting. What we're going to learn here. A batch of 50 Hurricanes from the factory selected to tail Dowding's black and white was selected to trial Dowding's black and white undersurface identification markings. The Hawker factory duly started to apply the markings to this batch, but for some reason only applied it to the fabric outer wing panels, not the entire section. So that's why you've got, if you look at the wing there on the port side, it's got the white, instead of the black going all the way to the centre, it only goes 3/4 of the way down the wing. The error was quickly noted by Fighter Command, and by halfway through the batch it seems to have been corrected. The photo on this page shows various different ones. You can see them there, can't you? Hasn't quite gone all the way. How strange. I kind of wonder how that could... It seems a very basic error to me. It seems very strange. Anyway, then we get some lovely photographs of various ones in action. Shall I go over? Otherwise it'll be here all night. And then we've got the Munich crisis. In September of '38, Europe appeared to be heading for war, and the RAF prepared its aircraft for combat. National markings were toned down, and the yellow and white segments disappearing, and the squadron emblems were painted over and replaced with 2-letter squadron markings. Dowding's black and white undersurface scheme was also now applied to all fighters, not just those experimental models. It says below left, a very rare photo of one Squadron Hurricane with the new squadron codes applied, but with the fuselage roundel still in pre-Munich style. Oh yes, zoom you in for this. I think we need the full zoom on this one. So, yeah, so they've got the toned down on top of the wings, but not on the fuselage. Ah, very interesting. And then over here we've got various different examples of how the toned down look is. Now I need to come back on the zoom. Looks like we're having a bit of work on the undercarriage going on here. It's on trestles. Yes. So you can see they're getting ready, aren't they? Getting ready for combat. It's almost the latest style, isn't it? And that they went back, didn't they, in the Battle of Britain, to a more visible style. I think that's because they were concerned about visibility and actually friend versus foe recognition. A rare colour photo of 3 Squadron Hurricanes, clearly showing the overpainted outline of the old yellow, black, white, red. Sorry, yellow, blue, white, red I should say. Roundel on the fuselage. Yeah, you can just about make it out of the shadow. Can you see it around the outside of the roundel? And they even emphasise it here with an illustration. Very good. And that's got the correct Dowding black and white design. Huh. Top left. Non-standard underwing roundel here as well. Looks like a Spitfire style roundel, well, doesn't it? Interestingly, different. And again, these Hurricanes of 85 Squadron have got the yellow outer ring. The problem was it was so low key they couldn't tell from a distance whether it was a British fighter or a German one. I think that was the problem, that they realised they'd gone too subtle. It became hard to identify friend or foe. Here we've got the Kenley. Is it Kenley? It doesn't say. 33 Squadron operating in low cloud. Keen eyes will spot the other squadrons of Hurricanes just disappearing into the cloud in the background. Okay. Now we're going to get into some. Clearly going to get into some conflict here. The paint faded faster on the fabric parts than it does on the metal areas, which was noticeable on the fabric winged Hurricanes. Interesting. They're heaving this one. Looks like it's run into the mud and run off the airfield a bit. Or off the intended area anyway. Now then, this belly landed in July 1938 and was late. Oh, okay. I thought it was actually selected and had been in the Battle of Britain, but it hasn't. It damaged itself and it got selected for target practice, so this is not combat. They're testing the armoured windscreen. Various combinations of armour plate were fitted, and then the aircraft. Going too close here, aren't I? Various versions of the armour plate were fitted, and then the aircraft was fitted at the front using was fired at the front, beg your pardon, using a Browning machine gun to judge the effects. The most effective was the armoured windscreen, as you can see in these photographs, which stopped everything. Wow. It's significant that these tests were only carried out from the front. Yeah. It's all very well though, when you come against a 109 with 20mm cannon, it's a bit of a different, maybe a different situation. I'm not sure how representative this was as a test, but I suppose that's all they could do. given the... He goes on to say that a thicker cowling over the reserve tank and a 1.5 inch 3.8 centimetre bulletproof windscreen was fitted to all fighters and retrofitted where it was possible for all 400 fighters. Whoa. And here they are, they're all getting themselves ready. September early 1939, and then there's a couple of shots where the war begins, and of course ultimately they go off to France, don't they? Still got these the early twin-bladed prop, which they ran for the best part of the year, didn't they? Right, now then. I won't read them out all these because it's just going to take too long, but only wonderful photo. This is where Qatari basically get some of their research from, because Wingleader I think Qatari have got an interesting Wingleader books, haven't they? Pilot protection, here we go. Now then. You see here the rear armour behind where my thumb is, behind the pilot. And you can see here, this is showing the front armour plated windscreen, armour plated on the inside. You can see where they've done some tests here. It says the life-saving strength of the armoured windscreen is clearly demonstrated in this photo of a Hurricane screen that stopped a 7.9mm bullet from a German bomber. So that would have been curtains for the pilot, and it saved him the armour plate. Wow. Amazing. And then we've got various squadrons now going into action here. King George VI paid a visit to Lille-Sechlin. Seclan, I think it's pronounced. And these are the guys that have the hexagon emblem. So it's 85 squadron? Yeah, 85 squadron. So this is in France, for the Battle of France. You can see them scrambling here. A staged press photo of 87 squadron pilots running to their aircraft in the winter of 1939-40. Practicing. You know, you need to run faster than that, guys. 1 and 73 squadrons had the rudder stripes in France. Had rudder stripes on the rudder instead. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. That's probably because that's the way the French did it, and they wanted to look like French aircraft and not get shot down by mistake. It might be that these were new replacement aircraft, which arrived with the stripes and empty spearheads already painted on. Yeah, I'm sure that's to be France friendly, so the French, there it is. Makes it look more French, look at it. See what I mean? Yeah. And then we've got some New Zealander James Kane, Edgar James Kane. He became the RAF's first ace of World War II and was internationally made famous by the press at the time. Cobber Kane, they called him. Wow. Yeah. He actually flew several Hurricanes in France, including the more modern ones with the DH 3-bladed propeller. The bottom right shows him in front of one of these such aircraft. There it is. After flying 80 operational sorties, 20-year-old Eddie, as he was known, was finally due to return to England on the 7th of June 1940. He took off for one last beat up of the airfield, but misjudged his aerobatics and crashed, killing himself instantly. What a tragic waste of a young life, oh dear. You see, it's like that scene in the Battle of Britain, isn't it? Where Christopher Plummer tells his, I think he's a flight lieutenant that's been doing the victory roll over the airfield at the end of the encounter with the Germans where they shot up all these Heinkel's, and he said, "Don't ever let me see you do that again. Don't ever do that at the end of a sortie because you don't know if you've been hit." It's a fair comment, isn't it? They couldn't afford to waste them, really. So that was a terrible waste of obviously a brilliant pilot and an ace. You know, to lose your life in a silly manoeuvre like that, you know. Obviously he was doing it too low with the sound of it. What a shame. So that was his aircraft, P. Paddy. Probably quite an interesting one to model, to be honest. Okay, now then. Here. One has hit the soft ground here. No, bent its three-bladed propeller. Gas patches. Now this is something that's always mystified me. When I was younger, I wasn't that aware of these. I saw these gas patches, didn't really understand what the significance of them was. So a notable feature of a number of hurricanes was the square-shaped patch, usually found on both wings. This was a gas patch detection device that would change colour in the presence of poisonous gas. They were introduced shortly after the outbreak of war, being very easy to apply, either as a fabric patch or directly using special paint. They were light green-yellow in colour, kind of like you see there. Yeah, it almost reminds me of a certain colour. I'm trying to think what it is. Unlike Spitfires, the Hurricane patches appeared in a wide variety of sizes and positions, as can be seen here. There's even one on the top of the fuselage there, look, just down here. Just remarkable. And as there was great fear of gas attack, but this eventually faded, so did the presence of these patches, and after September 1940 they were rarely seen. I think the thing was, and I have talked about this once in the past, that Hitler wasn't a fan of gas. I think that I don't think he suffered a gas attack himself. He was injured in a gas attack, and I think he thought it was inhuman. You know, bit rich, wasn't it, coming from him? But anyway, but yeah, and he wouldn't let them use gas. He said, if you use gas and they have more gas than us, this will be unbelievable horror, and we'll probably lose. You know, let's just do conventional war. Well, apart from what he did to the Jews and the other minorities, of course. But anyway, on the battlefield, it was decided that they wouldn't use gas at all. And I don't think there's any. I don't know if they. I'm sure I read a story that may have been used in North Africa once, but I'm not sure. But it was basically, you know, people in the Blitz, of course, carried these gas masks, and they weren't needed in the end. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Right, here we go. This looks like it's the winter now, getting into the winter of 1940. More variations on the roundels and the fuselage markings here. They're going for a slightly smaller one. Look at the caravan there. Oh, they don't change much over time, do they? Also, this is at Wick in Scotland. Oh, okay, 43 Squadron. And the main photo shows one being refuelled from the Albion Bowser. This one's got no upper wing roundels, as you can see there. Interesting. So then it goes into just a whole series of photographs. I'll flip through some of these because I just want to give you the flavour of it without reading out. You know, it's impossible, isn't it? They've got gun cameras here being used for the first time. Peter Townsend. Next to Townsend, right arm. Oh yeah, Peter Townsend is here where my finger is. Squadron leader Peter Townsend he became. Wasn't he? Didn't he? He was in a relationship with Princess Margaret, wasn't he? Forgive me if I've got that wrong. It's just going off memory. Didn't marry her, did he? No, I don't think so. Trying to remember everything is very difficult when you're live on camera, folks. So if I got that wrong, don't worry. But he was an ace, wasn't he? This wasn't. The camera gun mounting is next to the nearest airman's leg. There it is. You can see it there, can't you? Yeah, this wasn't standard fitment on all Hurricanes, but used an empty space in the starboard leading edge wing, just inboard of the guns. The front panel hinged toward to reveal the camera. Okay, so it hinged downwards towards you. Interesting. There is a picture of the camera itself. Quite good photographs, those, that'll be said. Norwegian campaign, some photos of them going on ships, being hoisted onto ships to go to Norway. Blitzkrieg. This is April 1940 now, the Battle of France is in full swing here. And this makes you think of the Battle of Britain movie, of course. Various locations in France, I think these are, most of them. The drier. They had a very dry summer, a bit like 2025, wasn't it? Despite Dowding's strong protestations, yet more Hurricanes were dispatched to France. And of course this is in the Battle of Britain. It says if you keep squandering them in France, that you're going to have no home defence left, of course. And this is what Dowding was played by Laurence Olivier, brilliantly in the Battle of Britain film, of course. And they've got lots of examples of them being squandered here. Crashed on the beach, several in the water, on the sand. Oh dear. The Battle of France only lasted a month. Fighting was intense and many of Dowding's precious Hurricanes and Spitfires were lost. Sensibly, Dowding adopted a policy of sending half squadrons out there. So although he fulfilled his orders to send several squadrons, for the politics of it, wasn't it? He actually kept half of them back. Gosh, all these aircraft were left behind in France, isn't that unfortunate? Changing the colours. As the Battle of France drew to a close, Dowding decided to drop the underwing split and go for sky pale duck egg green blue, which is what sky was. We used to call it duck egg blue, didn't we? It never used to be called sky that I can recall. When I was younger it was always called duck egg blue. And then here we go, we're getting ready for the Battle of Britain now, July 1940. Some really nice photos here, back at, where are we here? Hawkinge, which has now been turned into a great big housing estate, unfortunately. Although there is just a little bit left of the original spot in the centre where the museum is, by the way. Worth a visit. I've been to that one. Very good indeed, Hawkinge. Just a shame it's not bigger. And then we've got all the various Battle of Britain style markings that we're more familiar with now coming through, very much in the sort of style that we've become accustomed to from making models for many, many years. YBOW, of course, there's a current aircraft in the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight with those markings today, which you can see. I say it's the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, or is it in a private collection? I can't remember, but it's certainly one around. It flies around over the White Cliffs of Dover to this day. Victoria Cross, James Nicholson, Flight Lieutenant of 249 Squadron, stayed in a burning Hurricane to take a shot at an enemy aircraft that appeared in his sights before bailing out, burnt and injured. He got the Victoria Cross for this. So he obviously survived, but oh dear, that's taking your duty a bit too far, isn't it? Nicholson seeing left. Gosh. Photographs of his aircraft. GNC. Gosh. Now then, the cannons. When they get into the cannons later, start doing the development work for the Mark II, aren't they, really? And they're underslung like a gondola, a bit like the German system, isn't it? The Hurricane was extremely tough and often return after combat with major destruction and still land. Johnny Cock's 87 Squadron Hurricane, after a mid-air collision with Trevor Jay's Hurricane, took off his left rear. Oh my God, the latter was sadly killed when he struck the tailplane whilst bailing out. This is a danger with these bailouts, isn't it? This is the danger. What they have to do is invert the aircraft and then bail out and hope that they got clear of the tailplane. 20mm cannon fire on the rudder of this 151 Squadron. That's the one on the right. That's cannon fire. And this is the collision damage. Jeez. You can see here the later 4-spoke wheels as opposed to the 5-spoke that's in set. And then a few other photos of a couple at Debden. UFU. Nice Battle of Britain markings. And then some rare photos of various other aircraft perhaps have come to light. Plus there was the famous Polish 303 Squadron and others. The Czech pilots, of course, 310 and 312 Squadron, 302 and 303, they were Polish. So there's 4 squadrons of Europeans that are helping us in the Battle of Britain. Not all Polish pilots flew in the 2 Polish squadrons. Witold Glowacki, seen here after being shot down over the French coast on the 27th September 1940. The Germans took him to hospital where he died shortly afterwards. Oh gosh, it looks like he's walking there, but he's obviously got a head injury, hasn't he? He says he may have died, possibly due to an allergic reaction to a tetanus injection. Oh my God, really? Oh, that's sad, isn't it? His badly wrecked Hurricane can be seen in the background with the thin flash of his Polish squadron and a diamond-shaped gas patch on the wing. Oh yes, there it is, look. Poor guy. So he did survive the crash, but didn't survive the Germans' medical treatment, dear, oh dear. Ah, yeah, these things happen, I suppose, but not good, that, is it? And then we've got the 303, the Polish squadrons here. Shows them arming them, putting the machine gun belts, 303 Browning belts in. Look at that, it's got some intensive wear. That'd make a good weathering modelling subject, wouldn't it? Look at the wear and the feet marks. Obviously, that looks to me like the style of how he gets in and out of that one. Wittering in autumn of 1940. Overturned wreck of a 229 Squadron Hurricane in a French field after being shot down. The pilot, Donald McCarty, broke his upper jaw and his front teeth in the crash. Look, he didn't lose more. Gosh. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. One common mistake in Battle of Britain Hurricane paintings is the painting of the tail wheel. One of the last Mark 1s to be built, you can see the tail wheel strut is still the simplest straight type compared to the later kinked tail wheel that is pictured below. So that's the early one, and that's the later one. Huh. And it's talking about the FIF marks, and yeah, I've got to say this is quite an impressive book. It's certainly a modeller's book. This is. It's a proper modeller's reference book. Common mistakes on the Mark 1, Mark 2, things like wrong radiator, wrong nose, and wrong radiator. Problems. It's some about manufacturers here, really. Problems from manufacturers with the kit, getting it wrong. And it gives you all the Battle of Britain squadron codes. And there we go. Well, it's quite a book, isn't it? That's quite nice. Obviously, it only goes up to the end of 1940, basically. To the Blitz, effectively, doesn't it? So it covers the pre-war, the Battle of France, and then the Battle of Britain start. The Battle of Britain. A very good book, though. I'm very grateful that I was loaned that. Must get that back in pristine order. So there you go. So you need to get yourself that book. ISBN number. It's £20, 1995 in the UK. I'll just give you a quick flash of the ISBN number. Got some cracking photos, hasn't it? So here's your ISBN if you want to buy that one. Wingleader, the Mark 1 Hurricane. As I say, it's 1995 in the UK. If you're going to get a Qatari Hurricane, excuse me, it's the one to get. Now, before I sign off for the month, two things to tell you. One is that I will be a guest on somebody else's YouTube channel. Jason from Model Kit Stuff. It's his turn to have. He's hosting a live stream. We're going to be chatting about one or two all modelling related subjects on there, of course. So we'll be having I won't spoil and steal his thunder. I'll just say, watch out. Now we did earmark it for the 28th, but there's just a bit of confusion around this because a lot of people I know, including me actually, have got a bit confused about this bank holiday we're having. I'm filming this on the bank holiday Monday, and it's come quite early, relatively early, and I think a lot of people, including my local village Fate, thought that bank holiday weekend was next weekend, and they put the Fate on the last weekend in the last day of August, pretty much. Well, actually it's on the Saturday, so it's on the 30th. But yeah, I've got a feeling that I don't know whether Jason's done that as well, because he said to me, and I thought, yeah, I'll be the Saturday, yeah. Well, it's actually Thursday, the 28th, is earmarked. So we're just going to clarify that, and he will no doubt go on his channel and tell you all about it. And I will also confirm once it's all been agreed on my channel. Just remind people to go over to see. You have to go over to Jason's channel to watch the live stream, where I'll be guesting, talking about Spitfire flights and and my new Peter Goes Rogue channel, and my lovely mosquito. One of you very cheekily said the other day, oh, you've got your new fancy glasses. Well, you should be able to find that lovely big box you've got and get on with your mosquito. Well, I have got a few things coming up actually in the next few weeks which may just delay that. I've got a big birthday coming up. Yes, that's right. I'm 40. Life begins at 40, that's what they say. So there we go, so now you know. And if you believe that, you believe anything. Anyway, I've got a big birthday coming up, and I'm going to be having a little bit of a holiday. So it's going to be the end of the month, but what I'm going to do, a slight change in my approach, almost due to popular demand, you could say. So I'm going to be doing update videos just about the mosquito, and I'm going to call it Mosquito Build Update 7 or whatever it is, and then I'll put in brackets what I'm working on, wings or engine, or so it gives you a quick reference. You don't have to think about it and go clicking on it if you don't want to, but it'll instantly tell you where we're up to. So at the moment we're still working on the cockpit. The pilots have bogged me down, the pilot's belt, so I'm working on that right now. But in terms of getting into top gear and having like a weekly or fortnightly update, that's going to come at the end of September. So you heard it here first. I've got around me, I did have a lot of sprues that are sitting here, I'll move them to you. I've got all the all the colour call-outs in front of me on my chart, of course. So that's that. So you'll be getting something new, probably not... Excuse me. Quick slip of the old tea. Probably not going to be doing long videos in terms of build videos. It's probably going to be montages. If I come across things that I think are interesting to share in terms of techniques, then I might do a little video for you. Other than that, it's probably going to be like a montage, just to show you that progress is being made. It's still my favourite kit probably ever in terms of, in the stash, so I'm very keen, especially after the sad passing of Mr. Tamyar, to do justice to it and to get that completed. It won't be this year. I doubt it'll be finished before Christmas. I'd like to finish it by the end of February. I think that's unlikely as well. I think I've got to be realistic and say before midsummer of next year, but I will be getting on with that because I really want to do it now. And as you know, I've got that great mosquito reference book that we talked about in my last video. Anyway, there we go. So I've got some new technology coming on. This is for Peter Goes Rogue, so don't forget Peter Goes Rogue. Please subscribe to that channel because it's absolutely vital for that to take off and for it to be viable just in terms of time, and to make it viable on YouTube. And I must just mention as well, many of you have been complaining, and I know this is true because I've had the same problem. Many of you have been complaining about this issue with YouTube not giving you notifications about my next videos coming up, and I don't understand it. They've got this new stupid thing in the algorithm, a new, I don't know what to call it, but a new way of it thinking, where if you're a subscriber to my channel, and it's the same for Jason or for anybody else quite frankly, and some much bigger channels that are not modelling channels are having the very same issue as this, subscribers should automatically get notified when I upload a new video. And that's the way it's always been. Now it's not happening. And I've read several. I had one that was Flory Models. I didn't get a notification that was coming up. They were doing a live show. Didn't come up. Didn't get any notification till 2 days later. Also, one of the car channels I follow. There was an uploaded video about an auction. No, didn't get any notification. Only found it by accident. So, not very happy with YouTube and their algorithm. It's just becoming completely out of control. And it literally isn't following any logic anymore. There's no clear, consistent, even when there are people with 100,000 subscribers, and even their videos are now getting quite poor performances. I saw somebody complain about it the other day. Some strange stuff is going on. So please, I would just say to you, I normally have a video on a Monday and Tuesday, not always on a Tuesday, but certainly Monday night. It's normal for me to have a video, so you should assume 7:45 onwards that I will be on TV, 7:45 to 8 o'clock. The unusual, probably only if I'm away, will that not happen. In which case I'll probably let you know. So, it's a strange one. don't rely on them telling you. I think I've just got to say to people, just tune in on a Monday evening. And I'll try and let you, give you a heads up, and in the chat I'll give you a heads up for other videos coming up. But YouTube are doing some incredibly irritating stuff, and it's affecting much bigger channels than I am, much bigger. And it's causing people a lot of problems, and nobody understands what the heck they're playing at. And there was a guy from YouTube explaining it all in a video I saw about 10 days ago, and it was just the biggest gibberish I've ever heard, really. And he didn't seem to actually know why he was doing it. And he was trying to... He was just flip-flopping all over the place. It didn't make any sense at all what he said. I'm not sure it satisfied anybody. So just be wary. If there's a channel like mine or others that you enjoy, keep in touch with that channel. Keep watching that channel, because you can't rely on them telling you. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I will try to, as I say, with my new, or my wife's new gadget, I should say. I've got all sorts of toys here. Oh, there it goes again, coming to life. But it's very clever technology, and if I can just get my head around that, we can have some very interesting things. You know, for example, if I can get my head around it, I might be able to use that at Telford even, which could be quite useful. And you're going to see a complete new variety and a whole new type of channel. But that's on Peter Goes Rogue. Here, you're going to get more, but probably better, of what you're familiar with. And on Peter Goes Rogue, all sorts of interesting new stuff. Aircraft, cars, cooking, you name it, talking about wines, all sorts of things. Interviews with people. I think you'll find it. Live streams as well, probably do that on Peter Goes Rogue. So, yeah, please do subscribe. It's absolutely critical. People subscribe, costs you nothing, and it supports the channel, helps me keep going. And really we need that, especially to do the Spitfire. Don't forget the Spitfire flight. We're not talking about models, we're talking about proper TV now, proper adventure. Danger! I've got to sign a disclaimer, signing my life away. All you have to do is subscribe. God, how easy could it be? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to tune into Jason's channel and check out, because I think later this week we will be having either later this week or the weekend we'll be having a live stream imminently, which I think you'll enjoy, find it very interesting. So go check him out as well. I'll probably put your link to Jason's channel underneath as well. So we'll have a link to Peter Goes Rogue and a link to Jason's model kit stuff too. That's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you thought it was interesting, and look at the Hurricane book and have a little general chat. And until next time, look after yourselves, stay well, stay safe, stay young, because I'm not doing very well at that at the moment. Anyway, thanks a lot for your time. Take care of yourselves until next time. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.